Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of really interesting bodybuilding updates. The first thing we got is a pose down between a top 15 at least, maybe on top 10 bodybuilder, open bodybuilder in the world at a Mr. Olympia, and a classic guy, a classic kid that was never on the Mr. Olympia stage and is only 21 or 22 years old. It's Regan versus Anton Ratushnyi, and this looks insane right here. Let's check out this video here right now, guys. This is absolutely wild. So let's start. The first pose we got, front lat spread. So what Anton is doing here is he learned this trick somewhere. He's being smart right here. So he stood in line at first, and then he pushed that one foot a little bit forward, tilted his body in the same time towards the camera, and he looks pretty much bigger than Regan. His legs actually do look bigger, and he's tilting his upper body a little bit more forward. Regan is kind of leaning backwards, and he looks bigger, man. He looks bigger. Crazy. So in the caption here, he says 50 pounds of muscle difference, only 1.5 inches apart in height. Only. Right, like he knows what he's doing here. So what he's telling us is, yes, Regan is 50 pounds heavier than me, but he's 1.5 whole inches taller. So if he was my height, pound for pound, he would be maybe 30 pounds heavier, if that. Also, as you can see here, Regan is a bit puffy, so he probably had some food after the show and he's holding some water. So if he was dry and depleted here completely, he would be even lighter, even smaller. And you can see in the comment section here, Regan making excuses. And first he says, "You're the future, bro, incredible density, conditioning, and shape." Yes. But then also he says, "Someone send carbs, please. Post-workout posing, last depletion workout." So he's trying to make an excuse why he looks this small next to this classic physique kid. But guys, I am not even gonna knock Regan here for his size. Regan is a proven open bodybuilder, no doubt about it. Like, he was top 10 at the Olympia. He just almost won Atlanta. He lost to a really good James Collins yet, but it was close. And now he's going to a major show like Texas Pro, and he's going to win that show pretty easily. I mean, who can beat him at this show? Maybe Colossus can. But that's a stretch as well. I'm not sure if he can do it. If John Jewett picks him perfectly for somehow, I don't know how would he do it, but if he does that, if he pulls that off, then maybe can contest for the title, but it's not very likely. So Regan is definitely one of the best, one of the top 15 at least, open bodybuilders in the world, and this kid right here is very, very close to him. It's absolutely wild. All right, so the next pose we had after the front lat spread was the most muscular. At this point, Regan realized what this kid is doing, that he's trying to out-angle him, and he stepped forward a little bit. And now they're in the same line, and here you can see exactly what a size difference is. So I was criticizing Anton for his legs, for his leg sweeps, but right here next to Regan, his legs look bigger and better. In the upper body, yeah, sure, Regan is wider and a little bit bigger, but it's close, man. It's so close. It's crazy how close it is. And guys, one very important thing to keep in mind is that Regan is like 3 days out, right? He's competing basically this weekend. And you have Anton, who is, how many? 6.5 weeks out of the Mr. Olympia. And arguably, he's in better condition right now. Actually, not even arguably. Like, from the front, it's close, but from the back, it's not even close. Like, he's definitely way harder and sharper to the glutes. So, I mean, if he was the same body fat percent as Regan, he would be even heavier and bigger, right? And he's not even competing, guys. It's crazy. So, like I said, I'm not even knocking on Regan here. What I am saying is this kid, Anton Ratushnyi, should absolutely, 100%, without a shred of doubt, move to the open. If he's this big right now, guys, and he's like 20 pounds above the weight cap, during the next 6 weeks, what he must do to get in shape, to get in contest shape for Mr. Olympia, is he needs to lose like 17 pounds of muscle and 3 pounds of water and fat. Yeah, literally. So imagine if he, instead of doing the Mr. Olympia, did a really good rebound, being in this good of a shape, and growing for a full year. Not competing in a full year, just really focusing on pushing the growth now that he knows he has no weight limit, and competing in a year at Atlanta, Tampa, and Texas. He would be winning shows for sure next year. And also, he's only 22. What will happen if he forces growth for another 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years? Guys, what if he continues doing this and he doesn't limit himself with classic physique? This kid is the future of the sport for sure, if everything goes well. Knock on wood. So hopefully he actually makes that switch eventually. I'm pretty sure he still will do the Mr. Olympia because, of course, everybody wants the Mr. Olympia experience and he's very close to the show. So sure, he will diet down the muscle, go to the show and do the Mr. Olympia. And he might actually do really well. And that's why I'm scared that he actually might do really well. And if he does really well, if he's like top 5 in the world, I don't see him, switching to open like that. It took Behrouz Tabani like how many, man? Like 5 years of losing muscle every prep before he finally realized that his potential is in the open. And this kid has much bigger potential in the open than Behrouz Tabani. So this is wild right here. I'm not even saying that Regan looks bad. All I'm saying is this kid has so much potential. I'm not going to say he's dwarfing Regan, but in some shots, he's actually looking bigger. But he's definitely holding his own against an open bodybuilder that is ready for the show. Yeah, sure, he's depleted and a little bit watery, but still. Now, like I said, Regan is most definitely going to win the Texas unless he comes in even more off. He was definitely off at Atlanta, and I think all he needs to do is just come in fuller. And I think everything else will fall into place. Like, he needs to be fuller, and with the more fullness, he's probably going to look harder if everything is stretched out and really full. So, yeah, I'm expecting him to be much better at Texas because at Atlanta, he was in shape, but he just didn't have the pop, and because of that, his waist also looked bigger. I don't think his waist grew. I don't think he grew at all overall, but I think he was just slightly off with, not really slightly, but 20% off with condition, with the look overall, because, in my opinion, probably because of the flatness. So if he changes that for this next show, it's a much weaker show, actually. There is no James, there is no Joe Palacios, there is no Charles Griffin. So if he does this show and he comes in a little bit better, he's probably going to win. But again, even though he is one of the best bodybuilders in the world, next to Anton Ratushnyi, this 22-year-old phenom, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. This is crazy. So, yeah, you guys tell me down below whatever you think. All right, now the next thing we got is something really, really, really very interesting. And that's Joe Palacios going on Fuad's podcast, doing an interview. And by the way, really good podcast, really good interview. Joe is one of the coolest guys in the IFBB for sure. He's so real and relatable and honest and open and modest as well. He's able to take the criticism and he's very aware of his flaws, of his body, and he's being really objective and he's really smart and well-spoken. You gotta love this guy. You gotta love this guy. So he came to this podcast right here and when Fuad invites guests, Fuad is a former open bodybuilder, and he knows what questions to ask because he is an open bodybuilder, but he's also really, really curious. And that's what makes a really good interviewer. So he knows what questions to ask, and he asks them because he wants to know the answers. And he knows how to interrupt the guests, when to jump in, when to ask which question, how to bring the best out of these guys who are on his show and make them give us all the information that we want to hear. So he's phenomenal in doing his job. Suki here, I don't think he fits so well. I watched some of his interviews on his channel, and he's okay, but he's doing the interviews, he's asking the questions from a perspective of a journalist. So in this video, Joe said a lot of interesting things, but one of the most interesting part of this podcast to me was when Joe said that he knows exactly why he was off at Tampa. And the reason was that he took something that he thought was something else, but it was another thing. And he started talking about this, and Fuad almost started asking him and letting him open up and speak about the details of this compound that he took. But Suki interrupts, and he starts talking about what Joe's mindset was about doing the interviews and doing the hype. I was like, Suki, come on, stop, man. Just stop. Let Joe speak. He started talking about this very, very interesting thing. And you can see right here that Suki is not exactly a bodybuilder. Fuad, however, he is. But Fuad let Suki ask his question, let Joe answer it, and then he came back to this. And then he asked Joe what exactly happened. Listen to this.
Kind of skip past it. I don't know how much you want to reveal or how much you want to get into it. Can you talk about at all what it might have been that was the hiccup? Can we to get into that or no?
Yeah, I don't mind. So pretty much my halo ended up being Anadrol.
Oh, fuck.
So it was pretty prevalent, like as I was posing, and even the judges told me after, like, Joe, we can see that you're conditioned because as you were posing, you were getting harder and harder and harder. And I never sweat Fuad. Every show I do, I don't sweat. I don't hold water. I'm known for coming in dry, like in dry early.
Yeah.
And when we were getting ready leading up, I was like, man, I'm getting out of breath easier. And I'm like, I'm sweating a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not normal for me. But I was so much bigger, muscularly bigger. And I was just trying not to overthink it. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to stress myself out. Right. So I'm just going to let things ride out. And so when I got that feedback, and then I heard it from multiple people, they're like, Joe, we could tell you were conditioned based on what was happening on stage.
Right.
So you were just holding on a film of water that normally, like, you have deeper lines in this area. And
right.
Even the head judge, Bill, touched my lower back. He was like, Joe, this isn't fat. This is like, it shouldn't be puffy like this.
Yeah, you could tell it wasn't fat. Like I knew,
yeah.
I knew you weren't fat from looking at the photos going into the show. Like you could tell from your update photos that you weren't fat, obviously, but you could tell it was a film of water. But the funny thing is, a lot of guys, you know, back in when I was competing, would use Anadrol to fill up, like to help get a fuller look on stage. But depending on how you peak is whether it's going to make.
All right, so this was very interesting to me again. So what happened is Joe wanted to take some halo testing before the show, 2 weeks out. And instead, he stumbled upon some Anadrol. And you guys, if you guys compete with a bodybuilder, you know how difficult it is to find a real good halo. And if you are lucky, if it's a fake halo, you're lucky if it is a sugar pill. But if it's something else, and it's not Vinstrol, it's not Anavar, and it's something like Anadrol, which can be very similar to halo in certain aspects, like they both give you a lot of strength, but Anadrol can definitely affect your look in a way that Halo will not. So Halo will give you a lot of hardness, a lot of dry and hard look, but Anadrol can definitely make you puffy. And Fuad speaks in his podcast, and he says that depending on the protocol, depending on the peak week, you can add Anadrol or not add it. In my experience, that's not really the case. I think if you have somebody, let's say a classy guy, who is really lean, really dry, has all the details, but doesn't have the pop, doesn't have the fullness, doesn't have the 3D. You give him some Anadrol, and he gets much fuller. It looks better, looks more 3D, keeps the freshness, the roundness, the fullness. But if you have somebody like Joe Pilacius, who is already massive and blasting full, and a little bit on the softer, more watery side, you give him Halo, he gets harder, for sure, drier, sharper, just more impressive. But if you give him some Anadrol, he can definitely get a lot puffier, and that's exactly what happened. He got a lot more watery. Also, Anadrol can lift your estrogen. I'm not even sure how it does that, since it is a DHT derivative, but it does that for sure. I've seen that. So in this situation, it was definitely a bad idea to try something that wasn't tested. So he wasn't sure if it is real, and he still tried it. And I know what it's like. You want to be even better. Even when you are very good, he wanted more, and he messed things up. So after Tampa, he stopped doing Anadrol, and he dried out a lot for Atlanta. In my opinion, if he did Texas as well, with one more week without Anadrol, he would get even drier and harder. And there is definitely a possibility of him winning the Texas. What he says, his reason for not doing Texas is that if Regan won the Atlanta, actually placed better than Joe, won against Joe, beat Joe at Atlanta. If he did that at like 90 or 80%, and Joe was at his 100%, as he says, then they would give Regan the first spot at Texas as well, because they prefer his look, his structure, and so on. And he's very likely to be right. I can't disagree with this. But who even guarantees that Regan is going to be on? What if he comes in even worse than he was at Atlanta? And what if Joe gets even harder and drier? So, I mean, yeah, sure, Regan has the structure and he's probably going to win, but you never know, man. Like, Regan can get sick and not even show up at a show. So I'm sure he could have done Texas and looked better and potentially even won that show. But as he says, his goal is to be the top 10 bodybuilder in the world. And this year, even if he won Texas, he wouldn't be that. And also, if you listen to him on all the interviews and all the stories that he's posting, he's barely even able to speak. And I know this guy, I did some podcasts with him in the off season. He's he's laughing all the time. He's very jolly. He has a lot of energy. And right now, he's barely even able to speak. He sounds like he's on a lot of anti-estrogens, maybe because of that anadrol. He tried to remedy that and he went too low. I'm not sure exactly what is going on. Maybe he's just tired from prepping for so long, but he's barely even able to open his mouth. So I'm sure he's tired of competing, and also his family is suffering because of that. So he decided to pull out. I understand the decision completely, but in my opinion, if he did it Texas, he probably had a chance of even winning, but that's something we will never know. Anyways, guys, I noticed something also really strange and really interesting at the same time at Tampa Pro. So for some reason, this is really, really weird, guys. For some reason, it seems like Joe Palacios doesn't understand how the posing should be done with his legs from the front. Take a look at his feet, guys. His toes are pointing forward. He didn't even open up his legs. What the hell? This is something I learned when I first started competing. Look at what Nick is doing here. He's doing exactly what he should do. James, however, with his supermassive legs already, doesn't need to do that necessarily. But Nick, of course, has to do that because his legs are smaller, and when he opens up his legs, he points his knees outwards, and his toes, by pointing his toes outwards, his knees will open up as well, and he's going to show more adductors and more sweep. More importantly, he creates an illusion of having actually much wider legs. Joe is pointing his toes forward, and of course, it's hurting his look. Now, it's really weird that he doesn't know that, so I'm pretty sure he is aware what he's doing. I'm pretty sure somebody noticed this and told him, but I'm guessing he just figured out that this was the best idea, the best decision to pose like this. So I'm really curious for Joe's explanation as to why he was doing this. If this actually was such a rookie mistake, he can definitely change this and add like a couple of, at least an inch or two, even in his legs, if he just changes this one thing. So yeah, weird, but it is what it is. You guys tell me down below whatever you think. All right, and finally, we got a physique update by Behrouz Tabani. Right now, August 10th, at 128 kilos, already gained some weight, but he's preparing for the Mr. Olympia, so he doesn't have enough time to really do an off-season. What he can do is maybe bounce back from that show a little bit, utilize the rebound for a couple of weeks, like 3 weeks, and then go back into dieting down for the Mr. Olympia. Hopefully, he will get that Mr. Olympia qualification. You guys know that I thought he was gifted that win at China. After watching Tyler's review and breakdown of the video, after seeing those quality photos, I'm not even sure that I feel that way anymore. I would still give it to James, but it was definitely close, and I don't really have a problem anymore with Behrouz winning that show. On the live stream and on the videos and the photos I saw, it seemed like James was a clear winner, but after seeing those photos, it doesn't really seem that way. And guys, in my opinion, like, if you're talking about the quality of a competitor long term, if Behrouz had legs, he would be like a top 5 Olympian for sure. However, he doesn't, but even like this, the way he is, with a perfect peak, the way he was at Dubai Pro, for example, he still can be probably like a top 6, top 7 bodybuilder in the world. I can definitely see him battling it out with Krijo for that 7th. That's how good he is. But at China, he wasn't exactly spot on. His tan was off. He actually, Milos told me he had some issues with the tan, just like Regan Grimes, so he can't really use the same tan like everybody else. That's why he didn't look exactly the best in terms of his coloring at that show. Plus, also starting the peak week like 5 times before actually finally being able to compete and getting that China visa at the last moment. So he actually did get the visa for the Europe, but it was too late. He got it after the China. So, yeah, I think everything is fine for Behrouz. We'll see if he's going to get the visa for the US. But if he does, and now he won't start 5 peak weeks. He only has 1 time to peak for the show with Milos in his corner. If he does that really well, I can definitely see him in the mix with Krizo, Tonio Burton fighting for that 7th spot. That's the way I see it, guys. Whatever you think, tell me down below in the comment section. If you need my coaching services, just DM me at evenbodybuilding_ on IG. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. All the best and bye-bye.